laws that are necessary to ensure that there is combined forces, that action can be taken with no boundary. The army should come in, police should come in, other security forces must come in. I support.
Thank you. Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me join my two colleagues, the Honorable Sarah Korere and the Honorable Mange Kiunjuri, in expressing my disgust at these incessant acts of banditry and cattle or livestock theft in these areas. And I want really to subscribe to their sentiments to a large extent. But Madam Speaker, you know, we need to look at the root cause of all this. I am not really privy to what goes on there in detail. But from my understanding of what I'm being told, this is no longer just a way of life, as we were being made to believe when we were young, that cattle theft or banditry is a way of life. No. It has become a pure economic activity that therefore calls for more in-depth look into what then can be done to address the economic situation of the people living in those areas. Because if they got more gainful economic engagement, they would perhaps slowly get away from these nefarious activities. But that is food for thought, and it's the duty of the government of the day to really address those concerns. But secondly, Madam Speaker, and tied to the first issue, you know, if this banditry was contained, it would actually create an environment, conducive environment, for more meaningful economic activities to happen, to take place. That would, in the long run, help not only the people living in those areas, but help the whole country, really. Because every single part of the country, if is economically active or productive, would contribute to the overall economic development of the country. So I think it's incumbent upon the government of the day to really address this issue, but in a holistic manner. What we have tended to see from time to time are knee-jerk reactions that seem not to be yielding fruits, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me also say this. I am not a security expert, not like my good friend, the Honorable Raso. But I am not too dumb to see trends. Madam Speaker, in the recent past, and this is my own observation, as a country, you have done very well. And I must commend the National Intelligence Service, the current leadership, National Intelligence Service. We have done so well in containing terrorism in this country. We have done very, very well in combating terrorism and terrorist acts in the recent past. And I attribute this in my own way to the National Intelligence Service, perhaps. But, Madam Speaker, the question that comes to my mind, therefore, is why can't we use the tactics we have been able to use in containing terrorism in the recent past, in dealing with this menace? Is this menace too complex, yes, to be dealt with conclusively, Honorable Rasu? You may be telling me after this. Yes, okay? What is it that that this banditry entails that is so difficult, so complex for the government to deal with, really, and to the benefit of the country? So I think even as we debate this, and I really sympathize with my good friend, Honorable Sarah Korere, because I can imagine what she's going through. If her own life is now in danger, she's not even sure that she's safe anymore. And a leader who is elected by the people. So what is the situation, therefore, of the rest of the populace, the ordinary people in Laikipia, okay? And elsewhere. It's not just Laikipia. It's Laikipia, it's Samburu, it is everywhere. It's Baringo, okay? So I think this House should now move from just mere talk to more concrete action. Because if it is talking, we have talked enough. Ever since I joined this parliament in 2013 with you, Madam Speaker, we have had this talk. Yes, every other session of parliament we have talked about this insecurity situation, about the banditry, about the cattle rustling, but we seem not to be getting anywhere. So I think it is now incumbent upon this House to now think outside the box and perhaps take extraordinary measures to deal with this clearly extraordinary situation. With those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I adopt the sentiments of my two colleagues. Thank you.
While we could survive natural calamities like floods and droughts in this part of the country, it is very hard to stay safe from these bandits because they are all over. They are operating with so much impunity. They can come in, raid, kill, maim, and still get away with it. Madam Speaker, standing before you, I want to present a case of an innocent Form 3 girl by the name Fatuma Wako Wario, who was leaving school just recently after closing. She was on her way home to see her parents on 1st April on the road, on Isiolo Merti Road. She was shot dead by these bandits. This left the parents and the family so devastated, and many other families so hopeless to the extent that they're even afraid to send the learners to schools anymore. Madam Speaker, further, what has left many families so helpless is the fact that even after these bandits have raided and taken all the lives and destroyed everything, it is amazing that the state could not go after them and recover those herds when they have complete intelligence on where the herds are and who are keeping it. Just to give you an example for my county, we do have 147 camels hidden in a Mukogodo forest, just like mentioned by Mheshimiwa here. It is known where, which boma, how many other bandits are involved, but there is no action from the government. So one is left to wonder, in a state where we have a security establishment and machineries that are functional, why is it so hard to go after these people, even after they've destroyed lives? At least recovering those herds will give some hope to families and these pastoralists. But still, the security agencies are not ready to go after them. So that can only embolden these bandits to come back again, kill, maim, and the cycle continues. Madam Speaker, this is a matter that has now killed so many hopes. It has broken families. It has taken away livelihoods. It has, I can't further describe it. And we can't normalize it, making it look like it's a normal thing on this part of the country and nothing can be done. I think as pastoralists, as leaders, we feel that it is enough and it is time we probably relook our way of handling bandits. And if there's need for us to have a conversation on how we could handle it in a different way, then this is the time.
Honorable Speaker, it is also good to mention that Laikipia County is the 15th largest county in this country, despite us having 3 constituencies. That said, Honorable Speaker, we are generous enough to have 7 counties as our neighbors. We start with Isiolo, we go to Nyeri, we go to Meru, we go to Nakuru, Baringo, Samburu, and Isiolo are all our neighbors. Honorable Speaker, we are peaceful neighbors, but in many instances we have neighbors who keep antagonizing us and affecting the residents of Laikipia County. That said, Honorable Speaker, our challenges are cattle rustlers. And when it is not cattle rustlers, we have illegal grazers coming to disturb us. Honorable Speaker, the greatest challenge we have as Laikipians is, we know the corridors where these cattle rustlers pass. And Honorable Speaker, any member in this House knows the speed of a cow and how fast or how slow it walks. So when somebody says 200 cattle have been driven away, if the security had the intent and the purpose of catching up with these cattle rustlers, they would be able to do that. Honorable Speaker, in this day and age, there is technology. We have drones, we have armored vehicles, which if our system agrees to use, it is going to be very easy to end the cattle rustling in Laikipia County. Honorable Speaker, it is also good to mention that in the 15 wards I have in my county, 7 of those wards are actually being antagonized by insecurity. And I'll give an example of a ward called Gedega. In Gedega ward, we even know the corridor the cattle rustlers use. There's a place called Mlima Jangiri, we have Matweku, we have Mitaro. Those are places where people, it is well known to even the security that this is where the cattle rustlers pass. They have been unable to stop these people. We go to Olmoran, the same case we have at Wangwashi. We go to Salama Ward, there at Checkpoint, we have an issue there. And it is also good to mention, like 2 weeks ago at Checkpoint, they actually killed an elderly man. And in that instance, I remember the senator and the honorable MC of that area trying to pursue the cattle rustlers. They found them seated somewhere in a house by assistance of some sniffer dogs. Honorable Speaker, I find myself thinking, what if the cattle rustlers had seen them approaching? The story would be different today. Again, we have been forced as leaders to become security agencies on the ground because the security agencies on the ground have refused to work. It is our plea that we need to know the structure that is going to be used in security in our areas because, as it's been mentioned by a colleague earlier, it seems these security forces have instructions they receive from somewhere else. For me, I like to go with the good book, the Bible. Leviticus says an eye for an eye. I don't know why in our instance, a cattle rustler comes, kills our people, but when it comes to their arrest, they have to either be treated with baby gloves or treated as if they're special people. The same justice they met on our people should be the same justice that should actually be meted on them. Honorable Speaker, I speak of 7 wards that have insecurity, and we know where all this insecurity is coming from. Recently in Sosian Ward, our MCO was almost killed as he was also pursuing cattle that had been stolen there. Honorable Speaker, it is my plea as the leader of Laikipia County, and I join my fellow colleagues in saying a time has come. If we will deliver nothing else for our people, we must deliver security to them. And security must be restored in Laikipia County, and the time for it to be restored is now and not later.
Madam Speaker, I think we have spoken, we have attended meetings, we have screamed, we have written letters. I think we have done what is humanly possible to put across this menace. We have talked to everyone that cares to listen. Sometimes I wonder, Madam Speaker, that how many people should die? How many families should be displaced? How many children should not go to school because schools are closed? How many water ponds and boreholes, for instance, should be destroyed for government that was bestowed by the people to protect them? I was elected in the side of government, that is the UDA party. And every day, we always remind our people that this is the government that all of us voted for, and we all expected that this problem, at least, should be eased on our back. But unfortunately, it has even, to some extent, become more burden, because I think when you have a lot of hope and you don't get the hope, it becomes more, burden. I want to say, Madam Speaker, as a member of Parliament today, I would really wish the government, my government, to take time and give a goodwill for once and for all. Today, or the other time when we came in, we saw the government taking time to fight on the menace on illicit brews. We mobilized a lot of resources. We called on leaders to take charge, close shops, arrest people, stop bars. That is business. I just wish the same energy, the same effort should be used to stop this problem. Because, Madam Speaker, I just want to give an example. When I am going to drink, even if it's an illicit brew or I'm walking into a club, I sit down, order my beer, drink 1, 2, 3, probably up to the morning. I'll do that the following day, and to some extent, I'll be addicted to it. That is when it is realized it's a problem. What about a mother who is sitting right in her house? A farmer or a pastoralist taking care of his cows is ambushed, attacked, thrown out of his home, all his wealth our cows are driven away, and no one talks about it. It is one thing for government to put orders of problems, and it's another thing to see what really, on how really are we going to take care of these victims of banditry. Someone said the communities are not supposed to be pointed as criminals, but there are many criminals that occurs from one community or communities. And it is the prerogative of the community to take initiative to control. Like for instance, when Mongiki was terrorizing everyone in Nairobi and Central Province, it took the Kikuyu community to stop that menace. Likewise to Somali on Al-Shabaab. It is the same thing, that this problem, specifically for me, from the Pokot, should take charge and take up the challenge to eradicate this problem. Lastly, I want to tell the president, Kenyans are looking at, specifically the Kalenjin, specifically the Tugans, specifically the communities that are affected by this. They really wish and really hope this time round this problem is going to be sorted. Thank you, Madam Speaker.